crash and burn.
Jesus, what am I doing? Oh. Hey everybody. So tonight I am looking to discuss the 1986 film Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, starring, this is Michael Rooker's first film. It was almost his last. And Tom Tolles is in this as well. They play Henry Lee Lucas, of course. Michael Rooker plays Lucas. And Tom Tolles plays Otis, or Otis, depending on your pronunciation, Toole, the piece of shit that killed John Walsh's son, Adam. Raped him for a couple hours and cut the kid's head off. Yeah, so, all right, this movie, first off, like I said a second ago, this just about destroyed Michael Rooker's career. He did such an incredible job, such an imposing, disgusting, slimy, unforgivable job of portraying, well, at least at this point, which actually what a lot of us grew up thinking Henry Lee Lucas was. I read a book way back when. I think it was The Confession Killer. I think that was the book. I think the book I read was the book that Netflix turned into the series. I never bothered to watch the series, assuming I'm getting this right, because I read a book about Henry Lee Lucas back in high school that suggested that he didn't kill the 600 or 700 people that he claimed to, and it was more just the law enforcement around him were sort of finding a quick way to clear cases by giving him bits and pieces of these unsolved murders and then saying, "You did it, didn't you, Henry? The girl with the orange socks. Oh, yeah, the girl with the orange socks. I killed her too. She had orange socks, right? Yeah, she did. She had orange socks. It was the reason that I killed her." So he became known as the Confession Killer. And so I don't know how much of this I believe, but just removing this, taking this out of reality, because this is more fiction than reality. For example, the character Becky, she doesn't exist. Otis's sister, I don't know if Otis had a sister or not in reality, but Otis did not have a sister in the context of this point in his life where he was hanging out with Henry. They did have a 15-year-old girl whose name completely escapes me now, who they were both having sex with. I know that she was traveling with them and they were both having sex with her, or at least that was according to Lucas, they both were. And I know that Lucas ended up strangling her, I believe, but it's been so long, I'm not 100% if I'm getting this, if I'm 100% right about this. But nevertheless, this movie, I have to take this movie sort of with a grain of salt, and I leave this sort of as a standalone film. I'm approaching this the same way that I approach Black Mass with Johnny Depp. I know that that movie, factually speaking, was far from perfect. And I know that one of the guys from Winter Hill was completely pissed off at the movie's interpretation of the events and how they happened. So I know that Black Mass may not have been the most honest retelling of James Bulger and the Winter Hill Gang, but I still love that movie. And so I take that movie at face value too, mainly just because I love Depp's performance. I'm so tired of seeing Johnny Depp play these annoying sort of goofy, sort of squirmy type effeminate characters. I'm just so sick of it. So to see him play somebody as terrifying as James Bulger, that was really cool. And that's how I see this movie. I leave this on its own. I don't tend to pick it apart so much as far as the reality side of it's concerned. Tom Tolles as Otis Toole or Otis Toole, he is so disgusting and so scary. And at the end of the movie, when he's raping his sister and he's starting to strangle her, when Henry has to intervene in order to save her, and then Otis gets the upper hand and he was going to kill Henry, but then Becky comes up from behind him and throws, I think it was the comb, the sharp end of the comb, into his eyeball and kills him. And then Henry has to dismember the body. And she's like, "I love you, Henry." And Henry's like, "I guess I love you too." There's a ringing endorsement of a long-term relationship filled with fun and happiness. I guess I love you too. And of course, the movie concludes with him dumping her bloody suitcase on the side of the highway. So Becky didn't make it. Oh, fuck, what they do to the TV guy. Now, that guy was asking for it, okay? It's almost like John McNaughton was like, "You know what? I had a really negative encounter or some shit with a TV guy this one time, so I'm going to put this belligerent piece of shit in my movie." And, have Henry and Otis go to work on him. They smash a TV over his head. That guy was a piece of shit. So I couldn't have been happier with them wiping him out. But my God, when they kill the family and then Otis was going to start raping the mom's corpse, but Henry stops him, that scene was so raw, it almost felt like it was an honest documentary at that point. And because of the tone mixed with scenes like that in this movie, and just the grit and the grime and the way that these people live, I don't understand why, but I could see how this would stunt a person's acting career like it did for Michael Rooker, because his portrayal of Henry was just too on point. He was like permanently captured by shadows. You know what I mean? Like he was always wrestling with demons. And he just did such a good job of just showing the complete lack of emotion and concern and care for like his fellow humans. And this movie, it's just so bleak and it's so dark and it's so honest. And of course, Henry Lee Lucas, again, he was known as the Confession Killer, and he was also known, he got away, apparently, with the 600 or 700 murders, because according to Henry in this film, you change your modus operandi. Like if you keep strangling your victims, the police are going to develop a profile. If you keep stabbing your victims, the police are going to develop a profile, and so on and so forth. So if you strangle one person, you stab another, you shoot another, you drown another, you this and that, and he says that, you know, they won't catch you because there won't be a pattern to follow. There won't be, and if there's no pattern, there's no way for them to develop a profile. And if they can't develop a profile, given how good they are at it, there's a really good chance that they'll never catch up with you. But then I'm pulled out of the reality of the movie and I'm thrown back into actual reality. And I'm always thinking, yeah, but how many people did Henry actually kill? We know he killed his mother. And, you know, she had that coming. She used to force him to watch her having sex with other men. She used to beat him half to death. One time she beat Henry so bad that he lost an eye. And then after she pummels him, she just dress him up in girls' clothes and make him go to school all black and blue, wearing like a dress. And I'm thinking, wow, that level of child abuse, that's uncanny. But then I keep thinking, like, where the fuck are his teachers? Like, why didn't one of them step up to the plate? The kid shows up to school, he looks like he was used as a punching bag, and he's wearing a fucking dress. You got to do something there, educator. You know? I mean, it just feels like the whole world failed Henry Lee Lucas. And if I'm not mistaken, too, Henry's father lost his legs in a train accident or some shit. And because he was in a wheelchair, his mom used to abuse his father, too, and used to bring men home and make her husband watch, too, because there's nothing he could do because, you know, didn't have any legs. Oh my God, this movie's ugly. This movie is just so vile. Most of the deaths, they're shown afterwards, like Henry will find a way into a person's house, a woman's house, usually, by saying that, oh, you know, he's an exterminator, and he'll give a free spray to the house if you let him in, and then it cuts, you hear some screaming, and it cuts to, like, a woman's body with a cord around her neck, and she's half naked. She's got, like, a bottle shoved down her throat, or she's got cigarette burns all over her, and it's just showing the, like, unrelenting brutality that Henry Lee Lucas is capable of. And I love this movie, but I hate this movie because this movie feels real. And it's just so gross. And it's just, fuck, after I watch this, I feel like I need a shower, you know? It's like the movie equivalent of rectal hygienics, even the flies won't touch you. God, that's like the only record I've ever listened to where I felt like I needed a shower afterwards. But yeah, you know what? I think I've been rambling about this for way too long, so that's where I'm leaving it. So like always, thank you so much for hanging out with me for just a little over 8.5 minutes while I discuss the 1986 film, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Like always, if you like this review or you like this movie, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But like always, most importantly, never forget that the world is a way better place because you are in it. And no matter whatever it is you're going through, just don't let go because it's going to get better. Have a good night.